Yes, yes, yes. There is a new face or a familiar face that is running the place. But one thing for sure, these guys right here, reporting eligible, always the ones on tap on a Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all so very much. Last week was a banger of the show. We reached some feats that, man, there were some dope feats, man. Well over 1,000 eyes on the show. That's large in part and thanks to the NFL Yapper over there, the other half of reporting eligible. But hey, listen, while we say all this kind stuff, man, we welcome you. And we always ask that you please like and subscribe to the platforms on hand. That is 95 North Falcons Talk Show and at Dirty Bird Central, where you can get your NFL coverage in all shapes, forms, and sizes. But enough from me, bro. Talk. What is going on, man?
This is probably the most relaxed I've felt in an off season. I don't know about you, but I feel pretty
Yeah,
relaxed.
I am.
The
I'm
the
fucking
uh,
stoked, dude.
the Iceman is here.
Yeah.
He's gonna lead us into the direction. It's a different feeling with this off season. I feel relaxed. Like it truly feels
Mhm.
like we can't mess this up, especially with the new face, the new guy in charge of the
Yeah.
football side for the Falcons.
Yeah, he gave an incredible speech this past week, being introduced as Falcons' new president. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. Shout out to our guy Brendan, man. Oh man, Brendan does excuse me, is such an amazing job with creating, graphic T-shirts, posters, you name it. Uh, Brandon has you covered, man. Local shops dot fit. I might have messed it up. I'm sorry, Brendan. It's been a bit. It's been a minute. But neither neither here nor there. We definitely appreciate you, man. Thank you for always supporting the platform and supporting us as you have been, man. But yeah, Matty Ice introduced as new president, and yeah, man. For me, it felt like. Yeah, like a monkey came off of our back. I felt like, man, we can now be a little bit more relaxed. We have a level-headed individual, and that's not taking away from like Terry Fontenot what he was able to bring and do for Atlanta. But Matt Ryan at this capacity feels like the number one thing is accountability with him coming back to the regime and setting things in place. That's the one take I got from it was accountability. He's going to allow these guys to just run the team. Obviously the head coach of their choosing will be doing that, obviously, but the GM, of course, having him have some say and part of what he wants to bring to the team, and in a collaborative effort, they'll make decisions. And that's another thing that Matt was saying within the press conference was a lot of collaborative efforts. I don't know if that was truly the thing, with our past regime, with obviously the puppeteer himself, Rich McKay, still being around, no longer part of Falcons. So football operations, let's just put it like that. This is all on Matt Ryan. But what are some other takeaways that you got from the press conference? Anything that stood out or stuck out to you with Matt Ryan?
With Matt Ryan, it's just him. I mean, he's not coming into this being arrogant. That's number one, right? He's coming in humbled that he was given the opportunity, and he just wants to see the franchise do well, right?
Mhm.
He talked about how he had only been to Atlanta once for or twice, once to visit Georgia Tech, and then a second time when he played them, right? He never really knew what Atlanta was, and he's so bought into the city ever
Mhm.
since joining it in '08. And when the trade happened, right, a piece of him was still here. The majority of the piece, right? Only a piece of him went to Indianapolis. And I'm sure as soon as he got that phone call, he was like, yes.
Yep.
Like, yes, I'm in, because he truly wants the fans to experience winning once again. He wants to win that chip, something that eluded him as a player that he potentially can grab um, as someone in the front office. So really,
Mhm.
really excited about Matt Ryan.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of exciting pieces or a lot of exciting times. I feel like Matt Ryan is gonna bring to Atlanta. Like if he fit, like he said, it's still unfinished business, and you can only imagine, how all in he's going to be getting this organization back. You can't say prominence, but get back to respectable, viewing within the eye of the beholder. How so many people in the media feel like, Atlanta should have been one of those teams that already had a championship, but we haven't, right? We've gotten there. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, but we've been struggling for so many years. And I know Matt Ryan's going to do everything that he can in his power to get the right people in place and just get us going. And then he went off also with Tory McElhaney. He had a small little in-depth piece there. I don't know if you got to
Mm.
witness that one as well. He goes in and he talked also about, how much he learned being on the sideline. He went from retiring, with Atlanta, obviously after he left the Colts, signing a one day contract to retire as a Falcon, but then immediately jumping right into CBS and having to break down teams and what their structures like, their salary cap situations, and things like that. So if it feels like the marriage is right. It's just the name is so fitting with Matt Ryan, right? And everything that he has learned, he's going to bring all of that here to Atlanta. So that to me also is exciting, is how much he was able to learn. Like I was one that was a little bit skeptical, like, oh man, he's only been in the booth for about 2 or 3 years. Like what really could you have learned in just a short amount of time? But as he went on in detail, man, in TV and production, there's so much that goes behind the scene. Like you have to really break a team down to its bare bones and analyze it and give your take, and then obviously bring that and give your take to the crowd to hear so they can appreciate. And really, nothing that Matt Ryan has ever said about a team or thrown out there has been crazy or left field. Like there's some guys like I hate to say his name, but Louis Riddick sometimes has these takes and sayings that I'm like, I'm not too sure what you mean. Well, I don't know where you're going with this, brother. And then, a lot of people, because they hear him as a prominent voice or vocal piece, it was actually one of the guys they want to hear in Atlanta. But that's neither here nor there. Matt Ryan here now as the new president, and I'm sure that things are going to get swung in the right direction. And by swinging in the right direction, the head coaching. Oh, thanks, buddy. I got a payday.
You got paid
I
today.
got paid. Payday.
Well,
So,
let me add real quick,
yeah,
with
yeah,
your reservation.
yeah.
I had a different approach. I was
Yep.
more than excited for it because it just it felt like he was going to take how he approached the game as a
Mhm,
player into his position, but now as like the head, right? And everyone that has been asked, like, how do you feel like Matt Ryan's going to do? How this, how that, and everyone always points to his preparation. How much in depth? It's like you said, he goes down to the nitty gritty about
mhm,
everything, so he is fully prepared, and that's exactly what we need for someone that is going to lead said search for GM and head coach, right? We're already under the impression that he already kind of knows who he wants.
mm,
That doesn't mean that's the way he's going to go. He's willing to, potentially go a different direction if he feels, swayed by someone that's like, "Oh, I didn't expect that from you. Now you have my attention." So a lot of
mhm,
good things, hopefully in the near future. We talked about it. You were going to
mhm,
go into it. Our head coach, our GM, I would expect it probably right before the Super Bowl, unless their candidate is in the Super Bowl who they want, right?
mhm.
I would expect us to know who our new GM and head coach are.
So we talked about this last week, the crop of coaches that are available. Some would say, all right, like this cycle around, if you're a team in need of a coach, man, what a time for it, because there's so many names that are out there. The pool obviously got a little bit thicker with Mike Tomlin stepping down as the Steelers head coach. But he did announce that he's stepping away from the game, not just from the Steelers, but from football overall. But that would have been a dicey situation, as the Steelers still own the rights to Mike Thomas. So you would have had to have traded for him, a la what the Broncos did with Sean Payton and the Aints. That's the only one that I can bring up. Perdóname. But other than that, there are other names, and one that's hitting the circuit quite heavily is John Harbaugh, but which you and I spoke before we went on air, man. He has the key to the city in New York, man. This has to be the first domino expected to fall in place with the announcement of John Harbaugh being the next head coach of the New York Giants, which leads other candidates, obviously, for Atlanta. You know, there's two very, very attractive ones, and then there's some dark horses, right? And I think the dark horses come from a comment that you just made. Oh, you spoke about this and this man, and now you have my ear. The ones that are left are more prominent guys on the defensive side. Does Atlanta sway away, you think, ultimately from a defensive minded head coach? There's two of them. Mike Shula, I mean, excuse me, Chris Shula comes to mind. Jesse Minter starting to make his way around. You know, he's a name that's been it's popping up. There's been some small connections to Atlanta, nothing to be like, oh my god, you know, this is the next guy. But there are thoughts out there about these DCs that potentially could come in. But your take on Jesse Minter, because I know you put out a tweet about it, not minding the Jesse Minter marriage here in Atlanta, and why is that? You feel?
So it just, to me, he's a younger guy that sees the evolution of the offensive side of the ball, right? I think he would ultimately keep Jeff Ulbrich, but potentially take away the play calling duties from him, kind of like a Mike McDonald, right?
Mhm,
Mike McDonald still calls his defense in Seattle, and
mhm,
Jesse Palmer has proven with the Chargers they don't have the top guys. You know, they have a couple top guys. Their linebackers are weak. Their corners aren't great. They have a
mhm.
couple good safeties and a couple good defensive linemen. But ultimately, what do you think about the Chargers defense? Right? They held that high powering Patriots offense to what? Under 20 points. Now, because the Chargers offense couldn't get going, they ultimately lost the game. But that to me screams like he could be the next Mike McDonald that you could hang on to for years and years. And if he just pairs himself up with a great offensive mind,
Mhm.
there's no reason why he can't be successful. That's why I would be okay with like a Jesse Minter. Plus, he's been learning from Harbaugh,
Mhm.
Jim Harbaugh, on what it takes to run a football team, not just in LA, but all the way back in his days at Michigan, right? He
Yeah.
followed him to the pros, and he's been able not just to lead a group of boys, right, that are going through college, but now a group of men, right,
Yeah.
close to
Yeah.
him, close to his age, right? He is able to deliver his vision and then hold these guys accountable and have them prepared to a T. And that's, I think, something that would ring with Matt Ryan as like, this guy knows how to get prepared for game day and get the guys prepared as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the crowd where I feel like the next coach needs to be offensive, and I just feel like yeah, we dropped the ball with Arthur Smith, right? You know, hiring him, thinking that he was the next go to as the next offensive mind, you know, offensive coordinator to go into a head coaching gig and just be that next guy that we'll still be talking about. Not so much, right? And not lately. He became the Steelers offensive coordinator, and we've seen what the Steelers have put out on offense. It hasn't been anything inspiring whatsoever. Yeah, and he's being and the thing that gets me is like the teams are actually calling to interview him. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. No, hey, have it your way. Not our organization or not our guy to worry
Right.
about anymore. But no, for me, I just feel like the core is intact, and core you meaning Bijan Robinson, the core meaning you know, plus or minus Kyle Pitts, obviously Drake London's. There's a lot of exciting things here, and the fresh minds or innovative minds that are available. I think that's what attracts me, and I think that would attract a guy like Matt Ryan as well because he knows that this league is predicated on offense now. You know, we go through these spews in this NFL world where 1 year is defensive, you know, for a few years is a defensive ridden league, and then it goes offensive, just like it's mobile quarterback, then it goes back to pocket passer. I feel like we're getting out of that genre of it's a defensive minded, you know, affair in the NFL and more to the NFL because guys like Matt LaFleur, obviously, have relished in this period. Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, he's also relishing in his opportunities. Now we got guys like Clint Kubiak, that is a hot name that is coming up, and his work speaks for himself. The good work that he did with New Orleans, and obviously what he's doing with the Saints. And then you got Kevin Stefanski, right? Just a rock steady coach that I don't feel gets. I mean, I'm sure he does. He gets the recognition, obviously being AP Associated Press head coaching of the year twice. But a guy that has done less, you know, done more with less talent on a team speaks volumes to how he is. And he comes from, you know, a strong pedigree of signal callers himself. Some North Turner, Pat Shermer. We talked about it last week with Brad Childress. He comes from that lineage of guys and the offensive philosophy. For me, I would want a guy like Clint Kubiak. You know, I want that's I'm gonna say that's who I want here in Atlanta. I view Clint Kubiak as one of those the head coach and also the play caller. You know, just probably hiring a guy, you know, just to sit on the sideline. I know that there's name Jake Peets and stuff like that. You know, whatever. You know, I guess you know he's done some good work with the Seahawks, the passing game coordinator for them. He has you know done some good you know correlations of formations for their passing attack. But for me, I'm all in with Clint Kubiak as the next guy for Atlanta, man. The
So
direction I
I
would want
mean,
to go.
I'm not a I don't disagree with you. You know, it's more leaning towards like an offensive minded guy. That's why Kubiak and Stefanski are the two favorites, right? And I think
Hmm.
either one would be a home run hire. It's a matter of
Hmm.
which guy can get a football team, not just an
Hmm.
offensive side of the team, but the football team prepared for Sunday, right? Sunday,
Hmm.
Monday, Thursday, whenever you're playing. That's the biggest thing I'm looking for. So that's why I wouldn't be ultimately upset if we hired a Jesse Minter, someone you don't talk about because of what's going on with him in the league. A Brian Flores. Brian Flores would be someone that would be more of that CEO type coach that would delegate the work to his OC and his DC. Now, I don't think the link with Atlanta is great, but those are the type of guys that if we do miss out on Kubiak, right? We're all accustomed to missing out on the guy that we want, but this year it feels strong, like we
Hmm.
could get either Kubiak or Stefanski. So I do think, as far as like if for those of you that know what tier lists are, the S tier would be Kubiak and Stefanski. I had LaFleur up there, but it looks like
Hmm.
it's going to end up working out for him. It looks like, from what I'm hearing, he's going to get an extension in the next day or two. So that's gone, right? So
Hmm.
between those two guys, now for the next tier below, I said Harbaugh. I'd put Minter in there, and then I'd even put Chris Shula in there, or even Brian Flores. Like those guys, I would be okay if they were hired as a head coach. I know the fan base overall would be upset, but
Yeah.
I think they would do good things. It just feels different, but it does feel like we are headed in a direction where we will get one of the top candidates this go around.
Yeah, and that's great for Atlanta, right? Because obviously we missed out the first circuit, you know, going with Raheem and missing out on you know Ben Johnson and all these other guys who are all in the playoffs, by the way. And we, you know, obviously we're on the outside looking in, unfortunately. But to the coaches that are on hand, the candidates that we just talked about, you know, obviously nixing Tomlin from the equation. But as you prominently spoke about Jesse Minter, guys like Harbaugh, Stefanski um, and Clint Kubiak, what are some pros and cons to each individual, to each said coach, right? We'll start with John Harbaugh because he's the eldersman of the bunch, the guy that's been the one, you know, like Mike Tomlin, a long tenured head coach, has had success. But are there things that were in place in Baltimore you feel that just accredited to the success that he had in Baltimore? And what I mean by that is you look at when he took over early 2000s and you look at the makeup that Baltimore has always been. They was always, you know, the meat
Defensive
and
heavy.
bones. It was defensive heavy. You talk about Saragusa, Peter Bulware. Oh my God, um,
He had Ray
Jesus,
Lewis at the end of his
Ray Lewis,
career, who was still
still a
playing at
Pro
a high
Bowler.
level. Yeah.
Exactly. Ed Reed, my God, Chris
Mhm,
McAllister, and you know Will Demps. The names go on. Peter Bulware. So in a short list, a lot of great names. But I think
mhm.
that's what Harbaugh benefited from the most. His offenses weren't innovative in the earlys, even into now, until recently. Lamar Jackson, who came in and kind of put the team on his back, and you know MVP speaks for itself. You know what he did for Baltimore, but what really did Harbaugh attribute to the success of Baltimore? I think that's a question that sure people may not want to ask, but I think it's a necessary one because I think a lot of people what they hang their hat on is on that wins and loss record, and it's a proven one. It's above 500. Like, ooh, I want that one. Yeah, you gotta dig into it a little bit deeper too and see what went into the success of that. But what do you say?
Yeah, I think, people hang their hat on to the one Pro Bowl, or
Hmm.
not one Pro Bowl, one Super Bowl that his team
Hmm.
won. but it was flooded with Hall of Fame talent on that defensive side. Joe
Mhm.
Flacco got hot. They had Anquan Bolden. They had the late Jacoby Jones. Like they
Yeah.
had talent out the wazoo. And so he
Mhm.
came in as a special teams coordinator, taking over as a head coach, which I didn't think was bad. It was just not very common.
Mhm.
He gets to touch all sorts of players. But over time, as things went on, I think his downfall was his loyalty to certain relationships that maybe were longer than they needed to be. So most recently, right, he had Greg Roman with
Mm.
a young Lamar Jackson. We saw
Mhm.
what, Greg Roman needs to be out of the league. Like this guy does not need to be an offensive coordinator anymore. That, left sour taste in people's mouth. Then he had
Mm.
Mike McDonald, who had some good players and elevated them. And then he left, and then he promoted someone, Zach Orr. He promoted who you and I both agree, and some people in
Yeah.
the chat, the wrong guy. He
Mhm.
promoted the wrong guy. And
Mhm.
again, sour taste in people's mouth. Todd Monken. This chat loves Todd Monken because of his time in Georgia. Personally, I think Todd Monken should have been gone. There were critical times with play calling that I don't think Harbaugh was willing to have that hard conversation and would choose his staff over the players or the team overall. And so a lot of people are swayed, like you said, by the wins and losses. Oh, he's been this head coach for this long, this time. Yes, he's won division titles. Yes, he won a Super Bowl. He's won some playoff games, but he hasn't done much else since the early 2010s, like ring wise.
Mhm.
You would have expected someone in this long tenure, kind of like Mike Tomlin, to have won at least one more ring, right? At least two, maybe
Mhm.
three, right? And granted, he's played in some pretty tough eras with quarterbacks in the AFC, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. The list goes on then. And then he goes to this era, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, but he's got Lamar Jackson. And I'm not saying Lamar Jackson is scot free from his mistakes, but I think ultimately John Harbaugh's decision making in game has cost them more games than the players' mistakes. And so there are a lot of blown leads in the playoffs. There are a lot of blown leads in the regular season, right? This was a down year for them. There were plenty of opportunities, much like the Falcons, to
Yeah.
pull away the division, even if it was only 9 wins, 10 wins, right? It came down to the wire and they lost. And I feel like that was that was on him, right? Yes, the
Yeah.
kicker missed it, but there were plenty of opportunities in the game to avoid putting a rookie kicker in that situation.
Yeah, here's another one just to further more on the Harbaugh situation. And by no means are we trying to am I trying to discredit if you want to call it the brilliance, the good coaching that Harbaugh has done within the league. But a lot of people seem to throw around the what do you call it? Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a brain fog. We just lost him, DJ Williams too.
Someone ban
So
this guy.
the molding of a QB, and Harbaugh's name, right? What do we attribute to that? A lot of people say, "Oh, can John Harbaugh mold a quarterback? Can he?" I don't think that he can. I really don't think that he can. I think he's benefited just from a QB coach that hasn't been talked about a lot, and that's T. Martin. T. Martin has done a phenomenal job with QBs that gone through Baltimore, which haven't been much. Obviously Lamar Jackson's still there. I think he got a little bit of Joe Flacco towards Joe Flacco's last years in Baltimore, but primarily it has been him. I
Mhm.
mean, like I don't know what it takes for a head coach or why a head coach gets so much credit for developing quarterbacks if everything has already been put in place and it's predicated on the coaches that came before. So I don't know what anything of that strikes you in a way as far as development and what the next potential head coach offers.
As far as like what we're looking
Yeah,
for, or
what we're looking for
it's just
because
a matter of right. It's just a matter of when the quarterback gets in there, his level of
Mhm.
preparation, his level of understanding what's expected, his level of understanding of the offense, his leadership, right? You want your quarterback to be a leader of your
Yeah.
team, naturally, right? Because they're the guy that touches the ball every single snap offensively.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as like mechanics wise, yeah, head coach doesn't do that, right? Even a quarterback coach
No.
doesn't do that, right? A quarterback
Right.
coach helps see the field, helps navigate film, helps
Hmm.
organize the script and things like that. So as far as like true mechanic development, that's on the players, right?
That's on the players. Yeah.
That's on the players that they have to do. So yeah, to your point, John Harbaugh didn't really do much, man. Maybe in his
No.
younger years he helped Joe Flacco,
Maybe.
right? He drafted Joe Flacco.
Hmm.
Um, and he went through that, and then he drafted Lamar Jackson. But
Hmm.
how much of that was Harbaugh's influence, right? Because he had Ozzie Newsome, what's his name,
Yeah. Newsom.
Ozzie
Yeah. You got
Newsome,
it.
and then he
Yep.
went up, to Eric DeCosta.
Hmm.
How much of them played into it? How much was his voice heard? We don't know, right?
Yeah.
But everyone likes to. I'm going to go back to it. Hold on to the long tenure and the
Hmm.
wins and losses. I want to win. Yeah, so do
Yeah.
I. But some of these older coaches, they're just getting left behind because of the era of football we're in, and that's okay. Like
Yeah. That's fine.
I think the next guy that potentially could be on his way and is probably looking for a successor is Andy Reid,
Hmm.
right? He's the next guy. It's time for the new wave of younger head coaches, and that's what we're seeing here. And that's why like a Clint Kubiak that could be here a long time. Um, Comes from a line of football coaches, right? Can be helped navigate and evolve as the game continues to do every year.
Mm, mm. Furthering more with the coaching candidates, I'm going to switch dials and we got to talk about Kubiak, right? And
Mhm,
what are the pros of Kubiak, right? It's a heavy West Coast system that's
mhm,
I see influenced a lot by what Shanahan does, right? And that Shanahan tree of all the playmakers that have gone through him, Kubiak, obviously his dad, a great mind for football too. But you can see a lot of what Clint does, and you can see a lot of what Kyle Shanahan does now. So a
mhm,
lot of wide zone, a lot of play action, a lot of misdirection, things that minus the wide, the wide zone and zone blocking and stuff like that. It's a lot of what Shanahan did for Atlanta in 2015, 2016.
mhm.
Now, for some, I feel it's a seamlessly transition, right? You go from what Seattle runs now to what Atlanta's already doing. I think Kubiak can just make it better. What also I think he can make better is the way he utilizes tight ends. They run a lot of 12 personnel
12,
in
13. Yep.
Seattle. Yep, 12, 13, a la what we see with the Rams do. Rams have some exotic ass packages with, three tight ends, 13 personnel, but Kubiak likes to run a lot of 12. And man, we just so happen to have a guy that we can franchise that can become a terror under Kubiak. And Kubiak knows how to utilize the tight ends really, really well. What also he knows how to utilize is the speed on the team. We've seen JSN just take off, but if you go back, you look at the work he did with the Aints and Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave and that offense for that little bit of time. They were like air Coirel, man. They were just airing that thing out, man. So I feel like Kubiak is the best fit for Atlanta. I don't really see a lot of daunting things cons that he does. I think all the pros that he has, we have the right people in place. Can we upgrade certain pieces on the offensive line? Yeah, possibly, right? With that skill set or that offensive scheme, you need a little bit more athletic offensive linemen. So specifically at the bookend spot, but that's a different conversation for another day. Once these coaches get in place, we'll dive into that pool of who could potentially be here in Atlanta come March, and furthering more into the draft. But for me, I'll die on the hill saying, man, Kubiak is the next guy in Atlanta. I think that Matt has the pulse of the city, he has the pulse of the fan base, and I think he'll use those tactics to listen to what we're looking for. We want something um innovative. We want something refreshing. We want something that we can say like, yeah, shit, that came from Atlanta. That started in Atlanta. Everybody is just copying Atlanta. I think Kubiak can bring that sense here down in Atlanta, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. Matt Ryan's influence, his MVP year being in the Shanahan system, I'm sure will influence him a little bit. Seeing Kubiak run it, a version of it,
Mhm,
dialing up 13 personnel, 12 personnel, the under center play action, shotgun, using a 21 package, like
mhm,
all of that. And that's
mhm.
like a quarterback's dream, right? And hence,
Yeah,
we hired our former MVP, future Hall of Fame quarterback as the president of football. So he gets the top view down now and the bigger lens. And if Kubiak can continue, he brings his style of the Shanahan offense, right? We talked about him potentially bringing his dad as a senior advisor.
that would be
Um,
so sweet, man.
he could possibly bring his brother as well to be on his staff.
Mhm.
Regardless, right? It feels like going younger with a bright mind like Kubiak. At first, I was kind of hesitant, right?
Mhm.
But I think he's limited by his quarterback. Sam Darnold, I'm sorry, I don't trust, right?
Gotcha.
I don't trust Sam.
December comes around and he folds.
Right. He was lighting it up. JSN was on pace to break Megatron's record for
Yeah.
single season receiving yards, and then
Yep.
December hit, and then boom, that's it. It's done, right? The magic
Mhm.
has run out. And we've seen what he can do with Derek Carr. He's jumped around underneath some of the great offensive minds. And for a young football coach that understands football, he's grown up with it his entire life, like that gets you excited, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't know who our quarterback's going to be. It's definitely not going to be Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix
Right.
Jr. is going to be recovering from his knee injury.
Mhm.
But whoever it is, I think we have the pieces now with a couple potential upgrades that it can actually get exciting. We can actually see some fun offensive football that we haven't seen since what, 2017?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go any more, man, shout out to Rod, man. Thank you for the 4.99 bid. We certainly do appreciate it. Only might lose out to Kubiak because we have no QB ready to play.
No,
I mean,
sir.
yeah, there's some
I'm
bridge quarterbacks that might be traded for. I don't
so
think any of them are available. I'll just from the pool of free agent QBs, none of them, none of them are appealing
so
to me.
this is my always my argument back to people that say, "Hey,
Sure,
this isn't an attractive spot, right? No cap space, right? We already started taking care of that, and
exactly.
I've already been working the book, so we can make some money, right?
Hell yeah.
Um, no first round pick, right? No first
Oh,
round pick, no cap space, no quarterback, right?
right.
To me, if it were me, then it's like, oh, I can go in there and tell them who I want my guy to be, who I feel can run my offense. And if the GM and the head coach are on the same page, maybe you can make something happen. Maybe it's not trading a guy, but maybe it's someone on the streets that you've got some good film on that you say, hey, I need him signed for a 2-year deal, right? Let
Mhm.
him play. And if he does well, we're going to keep this thing going, right? There's nothing that says, I mean, hell, you had the next guy that we're going to talk about pick up Joe Flacco, the ghost of Joe Flacco, and win and get to the playoffs with him.
Mhm.
We're talking about in the Cleveland, right? So there's
Mhm.
nothing that says a good offensive minded guy that runs a good tight ship can't bring out the best of someone that would normally be a backup quarterback. So to me, if I'm an offensive minded guy, I get excited. Yes, there's no first round pick, but hey, teams have done this isn't a very exciting draft class. This is actually a very weak draft class.
Mhm.
Very
Mhm.
weak class. Your scouts are going to have to like be on top of their game to find good depth players. This is a good draft to get good rotational players and special teams guys. Next year, that could completely change. And guess what? We have a first round pick next year. So
Yay.
not the end of the world. So that's my argument all the time when people,
Mhm.
God, who let my brother in the chat?
Ta-da!
I was on a rant and then I see that comment.
Oh man! Oh man!
Fuera,
Ah.
fuera, fuera.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways,
Hurt.
but yes,
He didn't
so
look top
so
five.
like if you're a coach, you think to yourself like that's one of the things you talk about. It's like, okay, what are we going to do about the quarterback? Because I know
Mhm.
what I would want to do, and then that opens up Matt Ryan. Not me per se. I'm speaking as if
No,
I
no,
were
no.
in
I
there.
want you to go into the business because we're in the same business of pissing certain people off, whether that be personally or on social. You had a name in mind. You
Oh,
did have a theory.
oh, that's a
And
lot.
this was the safe space.
That was a pipe dream, right? I was more than low joking. It probably won't happen. But someone like Justin Herbert, right? Justin
Oh,
Herbert can
brother.
run a Kubiak
Ooh.
system. Joe Burrow, I have my reservations because he's been in the shotgun for so long that maybe he can't do under center. I say that, but Joe is a robot. He would do whatever it takes to run that offense. But like a Justin Herbert type quarterback, yeah,
Mhm.
you can win with that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he played like trash. Yeah, he didn't play great, but hey, when you get pressured 30 times out of 31 passing attempts, yeah, good
Brother,
luck.
that's
Good luck.
crazy.
Anyways,
Crazy.
but yeah, Justin Herbert would be it's a pipe dream. It's not happening, right? He's got a huge
Yeah.
contract. We're getting rid of a
Mhm.
huge contract. We don't have this year's draft capital to make a trade like that happen. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, hey, listen, I understand, man. I definitely do get it. There's other deals that could be made. I'm not gonna tap into that per se, but what is your ideal bridge quarterback though? Like if Clint comes in, he's gonna look up. Obviously, he's gonna look at what we have in the QB room. One's a wait and see guy, and then you severely fall off the cliff behind after Michael Penix, right? Obviously, Kirk Cousins is gone. Unless if Atlanta
He's not.
has
He's
the gift the gab, which I doubt, right? Uh he's out. Come March 13th, he's out.
he's gone. Yep.
We have to obviously we need somebody for the start of the 2026 season. A lot of people are holding out that Michael Penix might be ready. So, these surgeries or science itself has come such a long way that yeah, we are seeing guys come back from ACL injuries, faster than normal, which is good and bad in a way. Bad, I say, because you and I we spoke about it. I'm sure a lot of people that watch football, watch tape, study it, see the same things that we do. Obviously, lower leg injuries have hindered Mike Penix even in the pros before the injury, because obviously that was something coming into the league he needed to work on himself. Obviously with the injury, it does prevent him from doing so. So for me, I'm not. If Mike Penix was to be ready week one, brother, I don't know if I'll confidently start him right away. I wouldn't want to rush him. I would really want to, take that treatment or take the plan that it was originally in place and man, just let him sit, let him get right. If this guy is your franchise guy, then you got to get somebody in front of him that can obviously you know hold the fort down until he's ready, more
So
or less.
I'm gonna just say this, right? We're all Michael Penix guys. But
Hmm.
majority of the chat, we're all invested, right? He's an Atlanta Falcon. We want him to be successful, right? We want
Hmm.
him to be our guy. But I
Hold,
need
hold,
every
I'm so sorry. I'm so
go
sorry.
ahead.
Evan, I appreciate you disagreeing. We need a full sample with the new system, but not at the price of potentially getting him hurt once again or making him do things that he's not comfortable with. I wouldn't want to sour the view or the eye of the beholder on Michael Penix. I would want to wait for him to be 100% for then to us enjoy a full sample size and then potentially go left or right on the Michael Penix situation. But no, I do appreciate your comment, brother. I do appreciate it, man.
So my take on this is everyone needs to be prepared for Michael not to be the starter, even if he's ready.
Hmm.
My thing is if you are ready health wise and
Hmm.
you show that you can run this playbook, then you're the starter. But if there's reservations, if there's hesitations, this new head coach, there's no like, oh, he's just learning. It's hey, this is my show now and we need to win. And if you're not ready, you're not going to play. That's the type of mentality the head coach is going to come in. So that leads me to the next thing because if he's not ready, if he doesn't learn it, hey buddy, we might be drafting a quarterback in 2027. I want y'all to be
Mm.
prepared for that. The we say this every year, right? This year we learned it's just Fernando Mendoza and everyone else, right?
Yeah.
We may draft for a backup, right? Not a starter
Hmm.
for a backup, but next year, right now on paper, it looks like a deeper quarterback class that you could bring someone in and potentially run
Hmm.
your offense, right? Every we talk about this almost every week. A new head coach ties themselves to a quarterback that they draft early on, right? Kellen
Yeah.
Moore, Tyler Shuck, right? Raheem Morris, Michael Penix Jr. Raheem Morris is gone. That means Michael Penix Jr., his future is up
Yeah.
in the air. So, and I'm not saying that because I want him gone. That's just the nature of the business. That's just,
Hmm.
it is what it is. But I'm going to go back to your question.
Hmm.
Bridge quarterbacks, there are three, right? If we don't trade, which I don't think we should unless we use 2027 capital, but this using capital for a backup quarterback in the near future, I don't like it. Three guys. And I'm looking at guys that have run something similar to a Shanahan or West Coast offense. The most
Hmm.
obvious one, right? Depends on his number. He earned himself a little bit of money when he played for the starter. That's Malik Willis, running Matt LaFleur's offense, right?
Hmm.
LaFleur comes off that Shanahan tree, so there's probably some similarities there. The next
Hmm.
guy is someone that people wanted here in Atlanta when he entered the draft. That's Trey Lance. He's had time to mature. He's got his legs under him. He could potentially be a guy that's a bridge. And I'm not talking about him 2-year, 3-year starter. I'm talking about just get in here, win us some games, get us to the playoffs, and then we'll see where we go from there. And the last guy might be the sexiest guy in the league.
Oh, please stop.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo. How many years did he run the Shanahan offense?
He went to the Super Bowl with him about what 4 years because he went post New England right to
He
the
he
Frisco.
ran that Shanny system. Was he perfect? No, but he
No,
was surrounded with enough talent that they were able to make a run and get to the Super Bowl, right? He's one overthrow away from being a Super Bowl champion, right?
mm-hmm.
Then he bounces to the Raiders. Josh McDaniels, that was a disaster, right? But
Yeah.
now who's he been backing up? Who's he been learning
Ooh,
from?
Stafford, right? Oh,
Stafford and
is it Stafford
McVay.
and McVay, right?
Right? Tendencies, young offensive guy that he's learning from. You have to take into account, yes, you want to hold their past to him a little bit. But you have to give him a chance to learn and grow. I'm not saying he's going to be perfect. I'm not saying he's a franchise guy. I'm not saying overpay him. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
looking who that guy can be for next year to at least start the season or run the course and potentially win us the division first time in what we're going to go on 9 years, and
Oh
then
my
in the
God.
playoffs first time in 9 years. So those would be my three guys off like right now without like diving too much into it, without trading any capital.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that would give us the best shot, right? You know, Jimmy has a respectable arm, right? I think he can still make all the throws. You know, we just haven't seen him take that many deep shots, and that's something Kubiak likes to do. And that's sorely predicated on the speed that he has on the outside or on the perimeter. Garoppolo is one step away from being on the IR. Jones,
Sidestep away.
I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
it
you
might
are
be.
just the man. It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah. So for me, Garoppolo, I hear the name Garoppolo, I go back to that break glass emergency, hit the emergency button when we signed fucking Mariota. And I know that I'll probably get dragged for that, but the situation, we were in a desperate moment. Oh shit, we need a quarterback.
Yep.
Could that be our guy to lead us into
I
2026?
mean, there's not much, there could be some cap casualties, there could be some guys cut after the season rolls around before free agency hits. You just don't know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so there could be more names, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not signing a Daniel Jones coming off an Achilles injury. We're not
No.
signing the ghost of Aaron Rodgers. We're not signing the ghost of Russell Wilson, right?
No.
We're not Mariota is not welcome in Atlanta anymore. We're not signing Zach Wilson. He has shown zero growth or development. Tyrod Taylor, maybe. He's been the journeyman of bridge quarterbacks, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
no, don't do that.
So
Please.
it's very slim pickings in the free agency pool so far.
Who would you rather? Since you're talking
Oh,
cap casualties and these things, you said Tyrod Taylor. I'll raise you a Davis Mills. I'm going to continue to bring that name up. Give him a defense, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And I think the kid can get it done for you. Got good size 6'4", has a plus 60% completion percentage. Doesn't run any variation, I don't think, of anything Shanny or McVay or anything like that. But god damn it, I think the kid can ball. I think the kid can
if
ball
it's
with
between those
good
two,
weapons, with weapons around him. If we look at his tenure with the Texans when he was a starter, he had nothing, man.
he got me in a corner. If it's between those two, you can be happy. Davis Mills, okay?
Yay! I got it out of him, folks. I got it out of him. Finally. Where's Avian
She.
when you need him, damn it?
Oh my gosh. Hey, relax, okay? Relax. No, listen,
Oh
listen.
shit.
Brissett, no, you'd have to trade for him. Kyler, unless he's a cap casualty, no, contract way too big. Gino, he's done.
Oh
He's
man.
done. Las Vegas, whatever happened in Las Vegas, completely. I was a Gino stan, and
Me too.
uh,
He just shit the bed, man.
he's done.
It's been one of these things of like, quarterbacks go to die in Oakland or Las Vegas, right? And that was the case with Gino.
All right, talk about the next guy that could be the Atlanta head coach. Come on, who we got?
Well, the
Fan
last
favorite.
guy,
Fan favorite, right?
favorite, excuse me, has the best odds of becoming the next head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, and that is Kevin Stefanski, man. That is one name, obviously, Coach of the Year 2 times in the for what is it, 2020 and 2022? Was it something like that? That he was Coach of the Year both of those years?
Say it again.
He was Coach of the Year in 2020 and 2022. Was it like
Yes.
wasn't it almost like back to back
Yes.
something like that?
Yes. So those were the years he went to the playoffs with 11 wins.
Oh man, Lisa says she's out on Stefanski, ladies and gentlemen. Lisa, thank you for joining the show this evening, man. We greatly appreciate your comment. She is out on Stefanski. Odd makers don't seem to be. They have him at a plus 250. Uh-oh, bro talk rolls his eyes. When
Hey, you know what? Fairs. Fairs.
Yay!
You got me. Okay,
I
fairs.
won one.
I gotcha. Okay, that's fair.
Shout out Vans, man. Shout out the Vans, brother. Yeah, that's what we like to do. We like to have fun on this show, man. Definitely. Hey, listen, he's not a fan favorite, but I'll tell you this though, man. What is a fan favorite is what he brings to the table on offense. Sure, he hasn't always had the best of the best offensively or as far as talent. You know, David Njoku, of course, comes to mind. You know, he had a washed Jarvis Landry. You know, he had Odell Beckham at one point. You know, Nick Chubb he had at one point. But man, can this guy build offensive lines? And man, can he put on tape a dominant run game, which his scheme is predicated on some wide zone, powerful wide zones using heavy personnel, multiple tight ends, things of that nature. He likes to create mismatches. I don't see anything wrong. You know, for me, it would be 1A, 1B in terms of, guys coming here. So I would want my 1A is definitely Clint Kubiak. My 1B would be Kevin Stefanski, right? You see what the work that he did with Baker Mayfield and company. So does he come into the same situation here in Atlanta, not having somebody that gives him an opportunity to bring somebody of his likeness? Absolutely, it does. But Stefanski's he's a known commodity, man, and he's been a hot one. Now he's a free man.
I think when he was fired from Cleveland, he said, "Thank the Lord." Like I think he was ready to get out of there because it's been on record that the owners overstepped and overruled like what he wanted for the football team, right?
Mhm.
He listen, when you traded your mortgage for Deshaun Watson and then you gave him the guaranteed contract that you did, you set the Cleveland Browns did exactly what they do all the time. They set themselves back years and years. He went into camp with 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
5. You don't go into camp with that many quarterbacks,
Mm-mm.
right? And then the media started spinning the whole Shador thing, pinning him against the players. Like it was just a recipe for disaster. He handled it really well, right? He went and he did what he thought was best for the football team, right? They traded Joe Flacco, not up to him. They traded Kenny Pickett, not up to him. Those were probably the 2 guys he was probably going to start the season with. Like, think about that, right? Deshaun Watson's hurt. He tore his Achilles. He was recovering, and then he retore it.
Crazy.
It's like, how is that his fault?
Yeah.
Then, right, he has to go. Then the media is already pitting Dylan Gabriel against Shador Sanders, right? Who, from what I've seen, have become good buddies, right? They're teammates. They are held accountable. Like they just made a circus of the situation. And Kevin Stefanski, like he was like, I'm just going to put the guy that I think we can win with. And hey, he didn't have to put in Shador, but at that point he was like, you know what, Dylan's not giving me anything.
Got to put him.
Let's put him out there and let's see what we have. And hey, guess what? He saw, hey, maybe I should have started this guy sooner. And he owns up to his own mistakes.
Sure, he does.
Right?
Yeah.
He owns up to his own mistakes, but you guys have to look at his roster construction, right? The Deshaun Watson contract set him back so far that the GM, oh my gosh, look at this. Is this what she's taking?
What do you got, guy?
I got a cupcake with some, what looks like Oreo icing and a fresh Oreo on top. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow.
Yay!
So this
Happy birthday, little one, man.
This is what she is. Thank you. She's taking cupcakes to school, so my wife's making them right now.
Nice. Hey, man, I love it, man. Capricorn season. My son was on Monday. Your daughter tomorrow.
Yep.
Good times, man. Good times.
So if you look at the roster with Stefanski, the O-line's battered. The O-line hasn't gotten any younger, right? It's just the
No.
same guys over and over. They drafted Jedrick Willis, didn't pan out,
Yeah.
right? He's still out of football.
Mhm.
Besides having Myles Garrett, it's kind of been a revolving door with defenders. Denzel Ward, one of the top corners in the league. It's
Mhm.
it's been tough sleddings, right? That's why he hasn't won much. But I'm pretty sure he's got he's up there at least top 5 in most winningest Cleveland head coaches, and that says a
Has to
lot.
be. That says
That
a
says
lot,
a
yeah.
lot, right? So that's why I think he ultimately wouldn't be bad, right? He'd bring his philosophy. He learned under Kevin O'Connell, right? Everyone loves Kevin O'Connell. He was on his staff. He was the quarterback
Mhm.
coach when Michael Jenkins, former Falcons wide
Help.
receiver,
Yep.
he was there, right? So he
Yep.
he has worked his way up the ranks. So I think he would take more of a CEO approach and hire a younger offensive mind. I think the likelihood of Mike McDaniel coming to Atlanta, returning as the OC goes up, right? Because Stefanski could be someone that says, hey, this is what I want, but this is your offense. Put the spin on it, right? This is the type
Mhm.
of football team I want to be. And then that also raises chances of Jeff Ulbrich being retained because Stefanski is just like he had Jim Schwartz in Cleveland, right?
Yep.
You have a proven guy. It wasn't, we weren't a top 10 defense, but
No, yeah.
you saw the
Glimpses,
complete
man.
180
Yeah, you
that
sure
this
did.
defense had, and you have the young core
Yep.
players, so he wouldn't want to break that up. But then you'd have to look at who he hires as his position coaches, right? Does he keep our much beloved Dwayne Ledford that every NFL team is chomping at the bit at? Who is he going to
Mhm.
get as his quarterback coach, right? DJ
Yeah,
Williams, gone,
gone to
right? He's
Washington.
with the Commanders, right? With his dad's former team. So a lot of things to go in there. So I think the differences between the two is Stefanski would be more of the CEO versus Clint. Yes, he would have an OC, but it would be his show on offense.
Right. Yep.
So
And, I wouldn't mind if that's the case, the Clint situation. Like I mentioned, he would be the head coach, play caller. I think who else did that was Mike McCarthy for the Cowboys for a little bit before he brought in an OC. I'm just bringing up a name. You don't have Jesus.
everyone keeps saying Mike McCarthy, but when I watched that Dallas Cowboys tape from the year prior, it's some of the
I
worst
knew that was
offensive
gonna
tape.
get him.
You,
Say it. Say
my precious
it.
Dakota Prescott. You saw the difference between 24 and 25 and how much more explosive that Cowboys offense was. Mike McCarthy is one of those coaches that your time is done, bud. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but your time has come and gone. Enjoy retirement.
Oh man, our friends at One Time for the Fan, another Falcon great content creating group. Get rid of TJ Yates
He's gone.
immediately. He's out of there. I mean, hence
Fuera,
we
fuera, fuera.
we saw Draco. I don't know if he blew up at him or they had an exchange of words on the sideline after that TD.
Hold
Maybe
on.
maybe we're ending that, man. Maybe we're ending that TJ Yates experience. Go ahead, buddy.
I just have someone I need to DM after the show. That's all.
Oh yeah, for sure,
No, I got you. I got you.
absolutely.
Uh,
Yep.
it's going to be interesting. The next couple weeks, it all depends on the team's losing, right? We all said, oh, bear down for Matt LaFleur. Well, now it looks like they're going to an extension, right? And now
Yeah.
we're like, oh, go Rams, right? For Ian Cunningham, but we're unsure if Ian Cunningham is going to be the GM.
Josh Williams is another hot name.
Who?
Josh Williams of the 49ers. That's another hot name. One guy that's been with the organization 14 plus years, was a regional scout.
And who's got ties to the 49ers of the head coaches?
Oh, shit. Who
Kubiak.
does? Kubiak does, right. Yep.
Kubiak was Shanahan's pass game coordinator before he
Yep.
became an OC. So, hello, there's the tie right there, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Always connect the dots, right, of what we think is going to happen.
Are you guys gonna miss Ty? Are you kidding me?
Hold on. We haven't talked about free agency yet.
Oh,
right?
Man.
He's a free agent technically. Still
if Stefanski comes in, he stays, baby.
Hey, Stefanski came to Atlanta and he watched rookie Tyler Algier run all over that defense. Just saying.
Look what he did with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in that backfield.
He's gonna
He
want
worked
that
magic.
He's gonna want that.
He's gonna want that two-headed monster. You have it here.
And
so
I think they could sell Tyler on returning if he got more touches. and
Sure.
especially if Bijan, the way he was utilized as that, in that 21 personnel where he was more out
Mhm.
wide,
Out
right,
wide.
and
Mhm.
Tyler is in the backfield.
Mhm.
That's a way to also preserve Bijan's body because he got a lot of touches this year. He was
He
hit a
did,
lot.
man.
He was hit a
Yeah.
lot, right? That's why they say the life of a running back's not very long because they
No.
get hit so much. And
Ooh, this
so
is
go
this
ahead.
is a good point right here, Eric Z. I think if Kubiak is hired, he may want to bring back Tyler as
So
well.
so think about Kenneth
Zach
Walker
Charbonnet,
and
Kenneth
Zach
Walker.
Charbonnet. They're very similar,
Great
right? We
point.
we said
Great point.
Tyler and Zach Charbonnet are very similar runners, and Kenneth
Yep.
Walker, I'm not gonna say he's similar to Bijan, but their styles are the same,
Yeah.
right? So I think
Charbonnet had what? I think well over 700 rush
they
yards.
yeah,
Charbonnet did.
they both had that
Great.
much, they had good seasons under Kubiak, and that's with a bad offensive line. I'll stand on it. I don't care how good their rookie is. I don't care how good their left tackle is. Their
Mhm.
offensive line stinks, and our offensive
Mhm.
line clears the Seahawks.
It
So
does.
so many factors. So Kubiak's
Oh,
hire started
oh
make
boy. So,
fullbacks great again.
man, you guys are talking like Aaron Freeman. Aaron
Yeah,
Freeman is a
Aaron
fan
Freeman would
of
be so
fullbacks.
happy y'all talking about
Yep.
fullbacks.
I
We
remember one
might.
time I dropped the picture of Ovi Mahaley in training camp. I put fullback matters. He was the first one to comment, but he commented to Michael Keaton getting up as the Batman. So I was like,
Uh,
he gets it. Okay, I love it. I love it, man. Listen, we don't have too much time here, man, but we definitely got to touch real quick. We talk about all these coaches. Obviously, a potential departure of TJ Yates that is welcome. A departure that already happened in DJ Williams. Dwayne Ledford, very sought after, as you mentioned. We haven't even got into the back end with Gray and Hood and the secondary coaches, but Ulbrich is one man left standing. And we denied permission for the Cowboys to interview him. I think to me that speaks volumes of what he means to Atlanta. I think you can attest to that and agree with that as well. But the likelihood or the chances that he's retained if Kubiak or Stefanski or somebody else comes in, is there a percentage? Is there a game of percentages if these coaches are hired? If Ulbrich does go, does it lessens or does it go up if Clint comes in? Is the same said for Stefanski? We don't know. What do you think? What are the likelihood or likely chances that
I
Ulbrich
think
does come back in
I
Atlanta?
think if it's an offensive-minded coach, I think it's almost 100% that he's back. Right? That's what my feeling is. But if it's a defensive guy,
Yep.
like a Jesse Minter or Chris Shula,
Yep.
probably not.
Gotcha.
Probably not. And that would be unfortunate, right? We talked about the
Sure.
revolving door of our defensive coordinators.
Hmm.
That's why the Falcons blocked Ulbrich because I think had he gotten that interview, he may be the Dallas Cowboys' next defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Um, Now, that's not to say that if Robert Salah gets a job that he won't be like, "Hey,
You want to come back?
I wanna go with my
Yeah.
buddy," right?
Yeah. Let's run
But
it back, man.
I think the likelihood, even if it's Stefanski or Kubiak, I think the likelihood that Ulbrich comes back is very, very high.
Yeah, I think he would have a greater chance of coming back if Stefanski is the man. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure sold if Clint is the guy that um he retains Jeff Ulbrich. And that would be sad to see because obviously we've seen this defense flourish under just 1 year. The turnaround it did post Jimmy Pond, and we've seen the brilliance that Jeff Ulbrich, laid upon us with this defense. 58 sacks. It's incredible. We got our first double digit sack guy since the Vic Beasley time in Atlanta. That in itself is impressive. We finally broke that curse, if you want to call it that. But also just overall, the defense and what it's meant. We got some good glimpses, some good times in Atlanta. This defense did shut down some of the best quarterbacks in the league. For 8 weeks, you can say Daniel Jones was at the top of his game until he ran into this defense and the way that we made him look in that one. Obviously, one of the quarterbacks that's in the playoffs and Drake May forced them into plethora of bad decisions and made him look, not as dominant as he has looked. Josh Allen, before the media put JJ McCarthy on that pedestal week 2, made him look like nothing. Made him look like an undrafted free agent more than a top 15 overall pick within the year, within the draft. So for me, man, yeah, he has to come back in some way, shape, or form. But our guy Brendan, man, dropped a $5. But thank you so much. You already support us so much, man. We definitely appreciate you coming through with the $5. He said we need to keep Tyler, especially if Clint comes in. Check your text. Made the show logo, made a show logo, and sent it to you. I got you. I got it on Vibrate. I will check it out once this show concludes. So thank you for that, my friend. But yeah, man, that's it, man. Ulbrich has to stay, in my opinion, man. I think he brought us some good times, brother.
I think I think he should stay. I think he will stay. Um, but of course, time will tell, right?
Of course.
We don't know until the pieces start falling for us. And I think once they announce John Harbaugh to the Giants, I think that's when everything is going to kind of start falling into place. The biggest thing for me before we sign off is keep Mike McDaniel out of Tampa.
Yeah.
He's interviewing with them.
Yeah.
And go ahead and hire our boy Zach Robinson.
Yeah.
No,
what do
hey,
you mean
y'all,
by our
bro,
boy,
brother.
What do you mean, our boy?
Yeah, right, brother. Do you see how Buccaneer fans talk about him? They're like,
oh, they're glazing him.
No, they're glazing him. They're
Dude,
so in denial.
Protege of Sean McVay, dude. Shut the.
That's what we said.
That's what we said, man. Lord have mercy. And to make things sweeter, you are on a show where you dominate every Tuesday night at 8:00. Unfortunately, you guys didn't go on this week, but you can you can spew that same energy to one James, Mr. Buck himself. Tell him I said hi. I
will.
Fucking guy. But man, that's gonna conclude the show, man. We thank y'all so very much, man, for just supporting like you have been, man. Another fantastic show. Well over 900 people right now joining us, and that's through Twitter, through through YouTube, you name it, man. But listen, man, wherever we get the eyes, we certainly do want to tell you we appreciate it, man. We also will appreciate if you could subscribe to either one of the platforms on the bottom of your screen. That's at Dirty Bird Central, where you can find my guy Bro Talk and his short form content, and myself, 95 North Falcons Talk Show on YouTube as well. Just a guy, just your host that brings it every Wednesday evening. But enough from me. Bro Talk, what do you got, man? Tell them where they can find you, even though I already freaking told them, but let them hear it again.
Yeah, just like Berto said, at Dirty Bird Central, all versions of short form content, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, wherever you get your short form content, I've got it at Dirty Bird Central. This offseason, I've told you guys, I am still sticking to it. I'm pledging for some more long form content, maybe once every other week, once a week. We'll see how everything falls into place now with the new year. And as far as Twitter goes, at BK2 Why? Because I like to drag my toes down the sideline and not change my name. I know.
I was getting ready to say that. I was going to say me, and then nobody. Dude, I thought you were going to change your Twitter handle or change the handle underneath the screen.
Listen to me, okay? At BK2 if you want daily tweets, okay?
Oh, you got it. You got it. A known NFL insider is Bro Talk, always bringing us breaking news, whichever way he receives it or he gets it. Pause. But for me, your boy Berto, 95 North Falcons Talk Show on YouTube. We're in a bit of a pause on the Bleacher Report side. We'll see when that comes about, but you find me on there as well. All the content is up there, ready, and for your viewing pleasure. But until then, next Wednesday night, please tune in. Please come back. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. We'll have another topic on hand for you guys. Hopefully, we'll have some clarity as far as GM, head coaches. We'll see, right? We'll see. But until then, if we don't, I'm sure that we're going to cook up something nice for you guys to enjoy and talk about. But until then, enjoy your Wednesday evening. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you. We love you all. We'll see you here soon. We'll see you here Wednesday. Peace.